Vinod, do you have some exciting news to share?
Hey, absolutely. It's great to be, doing this after some time. We keep telling, we want to do it consistently, but we're consistently inconsistent. Or, as they say in school, regularly irregular. So, this is a one-off episode that, we kind of managed to pull together. There's a reason, and the motivation, because now that you know that it's happening as a one-off episode, we're going to focus on something exciting that we put out on our social media over the last couple of weeks. People who've been following us, go to Java Capital's LinkedIn or Twitter profiles, and you'll get to know what it is. And today is going to be all about that. And Karthik probably is going to pull a poster or a LinkedIn. I'm hoping,
Yep.
we're going to start, you know, showing, what we're going to discuss today. Today is going to be all about Climathon 2023. And we have some guests who are also partners in crime on this event. They should be joining us shortly. Really excited to be doing this with guests after a long time, Karthik.
I agree. Yeah, I think this is a long time coming. It was super nice to be back online. I am trying to share. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think, do you want to give a brief intro about like who the guests are going to be today, and what we're going to talk? I know you told a little bit. Let me just pull it up on the screen so people know what we are doing.
Yeah, maybe we should play out that intro video, Karthik, as we wait. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's exciting. This is what we're doing. Climathon 2023. Me, Karthik, and our guest today, and including Bhargavi, we're going to listen to startups for 24 hours on the 5th and 6th in an exciting format. And we've already started receiving a large number of applications. We're going to shortlist and start informing them, starting Monday. That's the page, where if anybody is wanting to apply, you should go to this page. It's there on our LinkedIn, social media handles. Please do go and apply. It should be exciting, to say the least. I think, we have our guest Karthik. I think we should hopefully, add them to the stream.
Yes, we'll stream him in once the video comes online.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, Vinod and Karthik.
Hi, Ankit. We're not able to see your face, Ankit.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah. And we also should have Aswani from Capital A joining us shortly. Yeah. So, Karthik, we should talk about how did this come about. That'll be exciting. You know,
Yeah, I
and
think let's just first introduce the guests today
yes,
on Freewheeling today. We have Ankit Keria, the founding partner at Capital A, and then we're also going to have Ashwani, who will be joining us momentarily. I believe he's running a few minutes late. So the whole idea of Climathon, it started as a collaboration between Java Capital and Capital A. And we're super excited to partner with HSBC as well for this. This is one of a kind, very unique, 24-hour long, um, marathon of pitches, exclusively focusing on climate tech and sustainability. Probably the first of its kind in our ecosystem. There, we can see Ankit. Hey, Ankit. If you can hear us, just wave.
can you hear us? Okay. Ankit, can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. Great to have you. Thanks for joining in.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Okay, so that's let's get going. I think Karthik was giving an introduction and how this came about. Yeah, Karthik. Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. We have the two stewards of this idea, Climathon, both Ankit and Vinod here. Why don't we just start with how did this come about? Do you guys want to talk a little bit about what this is supposed to do, and then maybe we can talk about the genesis of this idea.
Yeah, we can, maybe what I'll do, I'll talk about Genesis, Ankit can, take over and tell about, what's going to be Climathon, Ankit, what's keeping you excited on that?
I think climate is a sector which has traditionally been uh, sort of an antithesis for
Okay, looks like, Karthik, looks like we've lost Ankit momentarily. Karthik, you'll have to
a
unmute.
lot of sectors necessarily.
Go on, Ankit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the entire idea of this is to get a lot of folks to uh, talk to us about sectors that they're excited about within the climate space. Traditionally, not uh, getting a platform with other VCs or investors. Idea is to get so many of them to gather at one place and pitch to us, collectively share knowledge, and then obviously end up backing some new age entrepreneurs building in this space.
Awesome. That's great, Ankit. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to see you, but and,
Yeah, I may need a couple of minutes.
yeah. So great. So I think, Karthik, just going back to your original thought, right? How did this idea come about, right? I think uh, I was just thinking, in the everyday scheme of things that we were caught up, right? We've really not done something significant to address the challenges in climate. And on a Monday morning, I just threw this idea at Karthik and Bhargavi in our Monday morning partnership meeting, and that was it. We didn't go deep dive, or we didn't say anything. He said, "I'm thinking about this. We should do something about it." And we had this dinner and drinks catch up with Ankit and Aswani the same week. The latter part of the week. And I just, after a couple of drinks, I think I just said, we should do something like this to Ankit and Aswani. And both of them were super excited to say, yeah, we should do this. And immediately, it just started rolling. Next day morning, we had a WhatsApp group and, said, yeah, this is it. And, I think there was like a massive energy from the Capital A team to say, we should do this, together. And I think that was like super exciting. And it started rolling from there on, and we could quickly then in a week's time figure out everything and get logistics and things going. And also we got on board a sponsor in the form of HSBC. Thanks to them also, we should be able to do a lot of impact in terms of the kind of startups that we would see. And then this will be a one of a kind 24-hour where Ankit, Karthik, myself and Aswani and Bhargavi would listen to pitches on July 5th and 6th from 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. for 24 hours. The intention is to, to create the impact, and also wake up all the communities to the impact of climate change. And, also, in the process, hopefully we'll be able to fund a few exciting startups. I think that's the story, and that's how the genesis happened. I'm super excited to do this. Yeah, Karthik.
Just to add to that, Vinod, I think you're being extremely humble, and it was definitely an idea that originated at your end, and then obviously we layered it with our enthusiasm, or we shared your enthusiasm on this initiative as well. But I think one of the things which we keep getting feedback from a lot of folks building in the climate tech space is that how do we build in a hardware space, because investors always insist on tech, and how do we build a tech without a hardware? And I think this probably is the only sector that keeps having this yo-yo situation going up and down. A lot of investors have finally started to get this, but it's still very, very early. Uh, in India, there is only like $1 billion in investments compared to some of the other, favorite sectors like fintech or SaaS or so many other sectors. But climate hasn't got its due attention, and I think this event, the Climathon 2023, will be a incredible opportunity for entrepreneurs to sort of showcase their businesses and take feedback, and obviously get invested also up to $1 million.
Awesome. Thanks, Ankit, for that. I think doing this together is more fun than doing it, alone. That's like, what I've kind of believed always. It's more fun doing it with a lot more people who share the same goals and energy. Hey, Karthik, I should ask you, did I surprise you by putting this up, and, the next day, you left the drinks party early. What happened? I mean, what did you think?
No, I was like, I missed all the fun, you know. Or maybe I thought I was part of the conversation. I was there in spirit.
Absolutely, man. So,
It was actually, just to give some background for people who are watching or who will be watching this later, right? Is, it looked like a climate disaster that day, and it was raining heavily. There was like localized flooding and everything. It seemed apt that you guys had that conversation on that night.
oh yeah, and I think you should also remind people you could apply to it with links on our social handles. It should be visible and also on Capital A's social media handles. It's all visible if you want to apply. Just wanted to put that out, Karthik. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the application process is absolutely simple. There is no long questionnaire. We want to encourage as many entrepreneurs building in this space, whether you're in a city like Bangalore or whether you come from a tier 2 or a tier 3 town. There are some incredible folks who we've already, by the way, Karthik, we've already started to get so many applications. A lot of them absolutely seriously building their missions. Uh, I think it's just, if anything else, I would also encourage a lot of folks, even at an idea level, even if you just have a Notion document or just a Word file that you feel that should get an audience, it would be a great platform for you to get some feedback also from how investors think in this space.
Awesome. So I think we will just show them some videos and pictures of what's just gone live. I just saw an interesting video, Ankit, that had just gone live. Pretty interesting. We're going to line that up and play it out as we speak from your LinkedIn profile. Yeah. Sankit, a serious question, right? Like on what's driving, say, I'm going to answer this also, but what's driving, say, Capital A to do something on climate? Is it, a lot of people ask, right? Is it financial impact, social impact? I mean, or is this a personal agenda?
I mean, at least from how we think of it is, look, we are in this investment business. Ultimately, the ultimate end game is a financial outcome, but just the journey towards that outcome of having backed some entrepreneurs who are building in this space, which gets very, very less attention, or there are folks who don't get this space too much. I think the idea behind it is that if you have some operating experience or some investing experience around this space, it gives you a prior heads up on what the entrepreneur will ultimately end up building. That's one thing. And obviously, in my own operating experience of having built many factories and operating many factories, we've seen the kind of energy requirements that go into running of a factory or the kind of issues that we face, whether it's supply of water or non-availability of energy meters, or non-availability of renewable energy, despite being such a large population, such a tech-heavy country that we live in. I think that's something which we built a thesis on, and uh, purely from the entire need of uh, entrepreneurs to build in this space. It's very nascent right now. We just want to catch the wave early.
Awesome. No, no, I think that's great to hear, Ankit. In a way, what we will do is, Karthik. I'll just chime in here. For me, right, I think in the last 2 years, I've been like working closely with farmers and being in the agriculture fields, right. I've kind of really started seeing the impact that monsoon has or rain has, and the kind of changes that the weather that makes, right. For example, last year there was a bounty. This year the monsoon's not even arrived. So I've personally seen a lot of farmers have already sowed crops, but the rain didn't arrive. So those are like significant impacts, in terms of costs, in terms of livelihoods that's happening. And I think that's almost become like a personal agenda for me beyond Java Capital's investing thesis on climate. It's almost become like a personal agenda. So I think that's what's keeping me on the hook all the time to see what's happening, what really should we do more. That's the agenda that's driving. It's almost a common agenda between my personal agenda and what's Java Capital's agenda here. Yeah.
But Vinod, I want to ask you something,
Yeah.
and perhaps I want to ask you the same thing that you mentioned earlier. That a lot of folks are doing climate in slightly more evolved markets like the US and Europe for impact related, or for uh, you know uh, for a so-called uh, stakeholder management. But the end game of any climate has to have some impact, and that impact, if combined with a financial outcome, may not be to the level of what some of the other favorite blue-eyed sectors are for the investors, like AI, ML, SaaS, crypto, uh, just evolving just about right now. But do you think, in terms of financial outcomes, what is it? What is the reason why many investors are staying out of it? Of course, there are exceptions, but I thought I'll pick your brain on that as well.
No, no, I think it's interesting question, Ankit. Uh, I fundamentally believe, right, there is no difference between impact investing and investing, if you ask me. I believe that every investment that we make, right, makes an impact on either lives, livelihood, or on the system overall, in a way. But in case of climate specifically, right, it seems to require a certain sense of consciousness to wake up that it's not about just a contribution from a CSR budget, or something that's I think the mainstreaming of that, right, is starting to happen. And that could be one of the reasons, right, not everybody is woken up to the fact that we just have one earth to live, and all of them will wake up to the reality. Because I think it's no longer like is it happening, right? It's already happened. I think the impact is very, very visible, and we are seeing that in everyday events that happens in front of us, right? So most investors will have to turn around, because climate will be an overarching theme which will impact every aspect and every sphere of life. And I believe if it's going to impact every aspect and every sphere of life, I think there will be enough opportunities to also make financial returns, and also impact eventually. Eventually, it will become such a mainstream one. Ankit, I feel nobody will call and think about it as an impact story. Just like spreading internet at some point was like an impact necessity. It'll just become absolutely mainstream. Yeah, Karthik, would you want to add to that? Karthik, your thoughts?
No, I agree with you, Vinod. I think it's still very early for a lot of investors to focus on this sector, mainly because they're waiting to see what kind of innovations are yet to come. I think it's chicken and egg kind of a situation for the most part. Do you start investing first, or do you start getting the new ideas rolling, and then you jump into investing in these companies, right? I think to some extent, a lot of founders are waking up to this climate change phenomenon, and they've noticed that this is going to be something that is going to be there for the next decades to come. And that level of awareness is there, and I think it's time for people like us to the fillip required to get them to the next stage. And I'm glad that we're actually doing this, and there are some other funds in our country as well which are specifically looking at it. And I think that's a good start. 2022, 2023, hopefully, will be known for the climate tech investment, the first wave of climate tech investments that are being made in this ecosystem.
I just also wanted to add, when we were discussing this event that night, we actually did have something that was a result of climate change. We had flash rains in Bangalore, and it was just pouring, and it has never poured like that in the city before. And it was just ironical that we came up with this event that very particular night.
Yeah, interesting that way, right? There's some coinciding possibility or some, push from the, Earth itself to say, boss, you guys have to listen to what's happening and, take some, action. You can't just keep enjoying the fruits and not give anything back at all, right? I think that's the message, I think, in some sense, largely, right? Yeah. So, Ankita, I was just also, going further, right? What are some of the significant areas of sectors or themes that startups that who are listening to this conversation, right, they should think about and they should apply to us for?
A couple of things that I'm thinking of. For example, we keep we keep getting a lot of folks who are wanting to build in the space of, say, for example, renewable energy. Now, renewable energy is typically wind and solar. Now, on solar, we see that banks have still not warmed up to the fact that it needs serious financing, and that's where a lot of NBFCs have jumped into the opportunity and started to tie up with a lot of solar financing partners. Now, this is an opportunity which clearly needs the backing of a technology provider of the panels, and then the financial institution to come together and then to work towards a sector like solar financing. Obviously, it's a hybrid where one cannot exist without the other. And the amount of opportunity that exists right now is enormous, because we we have unprecedented heat. I mean, the flip side about hot weather is a lot of generation of solar energy, and if in some way we are able to leverage on that and change the narrative of increased temperatures to increase generation of energy, I think that'll be a very big opportunity for founders to build. Some of the other sectors that we keep coming across is the alternative materials, whether it's in construction, whether it's in packaging, whether it's biogas or biomass, or any other material. I think that is something which we would love to explore. And only reason is because no one has. I mean, everyone knows that it has it has existed since the advent of time, but no one has really picked it up and made it a commercially viable venture. I think that's something which a lot of folks are waiting out, and now with the technology available, with investors showing interest in these sectors, I think it should be a lot more interesting times to come.
No, absolutely. I think, right. I think we're pretty much gung-ho on those areas also, and especially we are very excited about EV and around EVs. We call it internally, Ankit. I think we both are doing a deal, which is in a similar space to start off with. which is like the shovels business around EV, which includes battery management systems, alternate materials for batteries, grid management systems. I think that will become a very interesting play to look at. Fleet charging systems, which could be very different from a customer's charging systems. Those are That's one of the areas that I'm like very excited about. Apart from, as you mentioned, advanced materials, alternate materials, green building materials, construction. Those are aspects I think we're pretty much excited. And we startups listening to our show, you should all take note of that, and feel free to apply to those conversations. Karthik, what excites you on climate, or anything that specifically that's kind of on your mind?
No, I think I just speaking with a company who's trying to construct alternative materials. Use alternative materials in construction, right? I think it's just the applications of these climatic sustainability solutions, right, are not just very very visible, as you would see in something like an EV or like a solar energy, right? But there's a lot behind the scenes that is happening, which is very very interesting, right? If you peel the layers and you see innovation is happening at such a granular level, and I think with something like what we are doing right here, the idea is, we discover some of these gems, which are not, which if you're just looking at, solar or EV, maybe that is not something that you would necessarily look at. But if you expand the horizon and see, hey, look, this is a construction sector, this is contributing to a lot of pollution in various ways. How do we ensure that there are some solutions tackling that particular sector or area, right? And to find some startups, which are actually working on solving that, I think that's just amazing. And recycling of plastic, we've been hearing about it, but there are various reasons why it's not happening to the extent that we would like to see, right? But recycling those materials and using them elsewhere, with the different sort of applications, suddenly opens up a whole gamut of business opportunities, right? It's not just the impact, as you said. There's a real viable businesses behind these solutions that people are building, and I think that is the most exciting part about this innovation that is happening.
Awesome. Ankit, how is the 24 hours going to be? Have you thought about it?
Vinod, you also want to perhaps add on how this is getting more and more marketable globally right now. Some of the startups that, or that our Indian entrepreneurs are building, and suddenly there is a lot of global interest coming in to evaluate Indian startups building in the climate space. Any thoughts around that, and why? Why entrepreneurs should not shy away from picking up climate as a sector to build?
Globally, I think capital today is wanting to chase sectors that also create impact, right? I think every corporation and every investor, right, is also kind of got mandated that you'll have to spend a certain portion of on such initiatives, and it's like almost becoming by regulation or law, Ankit. That's another interesting story, right? For example, there's a carbon tax which EU is saying on imports, which obviously that's being resisted, right? But even in India, you have the new regulations which has come through, where people are having to comply. Especially, it's going to start with the top listed companies, and eventually, it's going to kind of boil down, right? So it's no more about if you want to. It's become like a need, and it's coming down from a top down regulatory approach, and also it's coming down from some of the largest endowment funds, some of the largest pension funds, and all these people who provide capital, which gets invested by all of us in some form. That there is a push to think in that direction. So globally, right? I think in the next decade is going to be like the e-commerce decade of like the last 20 years. I think it's going to be about climate for the next decade or two. And I think there's enormous opportunities for founders and also global players to come and play this game in India. And given that we are like a significant population, even though our per capita contribution of carbon is lower, but we are probably the third largest, if I'm right, in terms of emissions. So if without India not doing right anything, the world is not going to move. So if India moves, almost, this is like the statement, the statements make that, right? Like if India doesn't move, I think, on its targets, or if India doesn't contribute on climate change, I think the world will not see a significant movement. I think that's the reality, and I think the whole uh, across the globe, right? I think people would take note of that, and I'm sure they're thinking, how do we work with everybody, the stakeholders, especially India, China, large countries, who are like from absolute numbers point of view, significant contributors in terms of carbon. Right? I think it's a global story, which is arrived in my view. Yeah.
All right, so guys, let's switch the focus a little bit and talk about the actual event that we're going to be doing. Right, it is on July 5th to 6th. All of us are going to spending a sleepless night on July 5th. And we the applications are actually very interesting, and a lot of applications are coming in, which in itself is very exciting. Which means more work for all of us to go through these decks and shortlist. Why don't we just talk a little bit about why people should be applying to Climathon? What is in it for the entrepreneurs? Ankit, you want to go?
Yeah. So, uh, yeah, like Karthik said, it's going to be 24 hours. We are going to be up from 4 p.m. in the evening until 4 p.m. in the afternoon until 4 next day. And at the end of it, I think 24 hours is still not going to be enough to have these conversations with amazing entrepreneurs. But this is going to be on 5th and 6th at venue in Bangalore. We've almost finalized the venue. This is also uh, the format of that is going to be 45 minutes of pitching and 15 minutes of Q&A, and obviously we will we will sort of see how that structure works and go along with the flow. But yeah, please get your Red Bulls and your coffees and your every other form of caffeine that is legitimately allowed to keep yourself awake to come and pitch to us. And I don't think anything of this sort has ever happened earlier, and we are truly looking forward to it. If nothing else, it's going to be a testament of how entrepreneurs are thinking about this space. I think it organically, if as a VC fund, if we have to receive these pitches, we probably would have to work on an entire strategy of sourcing and networking and whatnot. But to actually get it collectively at one point in time, and I mean, it's also going to be so difficult to switch context immediately, but that's what we are gearing up for. At you know, in the first hour, if you are listening to someone building on the solar, and we have to immediately switch context to listen to someone building in Industry 5.0, I think that's going to be extremely interesting uh, and challenging, and to make sure that we are fair to the entrepreneur and give him the same or give her the same attention and the kind of justice we have to do to all of those pitches in those 24 hours.
Absolutely right. It's going to be like it's a crazy thing. I am like, I don't drink coffees often, but I have to just start priming myself, to drinking more coffees that day. And the next day, obviously, more malts, Karthik, which is what it originated at, right? I have not done something like this, Ankit, for 24 hours. I don't recall even, if I did something like this in college. So, quite excited to see, how this is going to be. And all get up, with 4 or 5 of us, it will be like an exciting day and night.
All right. So once we get the applications and shortlist them, hopefully some 20 to 24 companies will be shortlisted for the entire 24 hours. Um, what are we going to be? Yeah, I mean, the natural question that the founders will ask is, all right, I'm pitching. What next?
I think we're pretty serious about it. If some of these companies are meets our bar for investment, Karthik, I think we would go ahead and make these investments along with some of our partners. And I think we've said we would make up to like $1 million investment into these companies. So it's not just about pitch, right? It is really a serious attempt and endeavor, that the pitch is being watched, seriously assessed. And I would be like super excited if we make even 1 or 2 investments, Karthik. I think that will be a great outcome and a great visibility. And it just shows such things are really possible. Imagine the effort that goes into, and if you can get one solid company that could change the world, I think nothing like it eventually. I think then we would have achieved, and all the sleepless nights would be worth it. And I think that's a serious commitment that we've done, saying if it is exciting, we would end up investing in some of these companies. I'm just saying 1 or 2, it could be more. I'm just looking at the quality of the applications. At least today morning, somebody said, some of them are like really fantastic ones. So I'm sure, more than one is also possible, Karthik. One, two, three, maybe more. Yeah.
So, Ankit, given that there is a commitment to invest, right? Obviously, the bar is very high for the founders and the companies that they're going to be pitching, right? Why don't you just give us a sense of what it is that you're looking for if they're preparing for the pitches? Like, what do you suggest they prepare for while they apply online and later, when they present to us?
Uh, Very excellent question. I think one of the things that we should definitely, in addition to applying online, and by the way, we initially toyed with the idea of having a full 3-page application on why are you doing this and the purpose behind this and the impact that it will create and all of it. But I think we kept it slightly open ended to simplify the process. But what we will really look for while the entrepreneurs are pitching is to figure out a how large is the TAM. Obviously, every and TAM for me has two definition. There is obviously the conventional total addressable market, which has typically any investors usually look out for very large markets to operate in. But if there is a niche TAM also available for that particular idea or that particular startup that they are building, I think that is something which, and it has to be then very novel and once in a lifetime sort of an idea and an execution plan. But yeah, that's one thing that I think as any investors would look for, that is the addressable market is large enough, and if it's not large enough, why a particular founder is the right founder to build in that niche TAM. I think that's something which uh, gets evaluated in most of the pitchathon events. In addition to that, any founders with some prior experience in the climate space is always helpful. If they have built in the ESG space, or if they have worked in a company which has built, I think it just gives an insider view to entrepreneurs to some of the challenges, and they are able to navigate, or they know what are the pitfalls, and they are able to navigate that a lot faster and a lot better. So And finally, obviously, uh, the 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 holy grail, which is the defensibility in the business, and how low or high is the entry barrier in a particular business. I think that becomes supremely important for any investors to take that investment call. Uh, Happy to hear more layers on what you think about this.
No, I think you're bang on, Ankit. This is more or less the same principles that we apply for any other startup, right? So I don't necessarily think that there's anything special that we're looking in terms of the application per se. I would just add and request all the founders to be explicitly clear on the problem that they're trying to solve and the solution and how it is unique. I think these are some of the three biggest questions that all of us will try to answer as we go through your decks, or when we listen to your pitches. I think this is the same advice that we would give to any other founder from anywhere else, right? All right, so let me just jump to the other question that I had. Maybe Vinod, you can take a crack at this. Will are we going to provide any accommodation? Given that this is Bangalore, is this only for Bangalore startups?
No, absolutely no. This is for all startups across the country. You know, uh, and this, and obviously, right? We would suggest where people could stay, but we would not be able to bear the cost of their accommodation or travel. I'm assuming most startups are aware of that. We will probably clarify that in the process of when we send out shortlisting emails to them. More information is anticipated once we shortlist companies. I think what startups should anticipate, Karthik, post our application process is that we would send them out, or we would call them, if they are shortlisted for the event on 5th and 6th July. We would give them time slots where they would come and pitch to us in the 24-hour time slot, and we would also give them suggestions on where they could stay, and close by. We would figure out that piece, and we'll also share those, so that founders are able to kind of manage that. Of course, we will not be able to provide the cost of accommodation or travel for this. Yeah, think about that. They're pitching to an investor, and there's a chance of securing an investment. And I think in that spirit, I think we would be doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and up to. Sorry, go ahead, Ankit.
sorry, I just wanted to add to what Vinod was mentioning. We obviously have a lot of other partners who are willing to sign up with us in terms of credits with AWS and with Azure, and all of that will definitely be available in some way or some form through sponsorship from HSBC, as well as our partnerships with these individual folks, whether it's Zoho CRM. So a lot of those partnerships definitely right now as we speak are evolving, but there will be in some way or form available to you once you have a DPIIT certificate, and those will be made available to you. And happy to assist you with logistics, with some suggestions, and with hotel or stay recommendations in and around the location.
Awesome. And another question that keeps coming up is there a networking session after this where the founders can interact with investors or fellow founders? Is that something on cards?
So Karthik, we are, it's in the works. So we would shortly make some announcements on that. So we're working on that. There would potentially be networking events for the founders who have been shortlisted. We'd want to facilitate more than just conversations, right, with the founders alone. We're working on that. I think people, shortlisted founders will hear from us on what that would mean. Yes.
Awesome. And I think, guys, I also just want to clarify that even though um, you're coming from Delhi or Bombay, you're coming to Bangalore, I would urge you to think about this being an opportunity for you to raise up to $1 million. Naturally, once we decide to invest in a company, the following, the steps will automatically follow, right? Whether it comes to due diligence, all of that will happen, which will take, its own course of time. But I think the decision, will be fairly made quickly, within a few days to a week, and will be communicated back to you whether or not we're going to go ahead. As is the, one of the core principal values of Java, we'll always let you know, even if you are not have made the cut, we will inform you and appreciate you for making a trip and sharing your story with us. That is a promise from Java, and I'm sure from Capital A as well. That's something that we'll do regularly. Anyway, so I think I'm super excited, Ankit, and this is going to be very interesting. I know we'll also learn on the way, as we do this. Hopefully, this is something that will continue in the years to come as well. I think this should be judged not just by the number of investments. If we get investments from this, I think that's just amazing. Right? I think to me that's an icing on the cake. But I think to me, if we get enough startups to come and pitch, I just want to see that excitement and energy in the sector, right? And this will act as a momentum builder, for the entire climate and sustainability startup ecosystem.
That's great, Karthik. Ankit, do you want to add before we wind up?
Nothing. I just absolutely concur with your thoughts, and I hope in some way or form this gives. I mean, given that climate is such a vast universe, I hope this an event like this also encourages some of our other friends in the investment ecosystem to come together and organize events, and also expand the horizon of the entire climate space wider. And we are there to support the early stage startups here, both Java and Capital A. And I hope we make some landmark investments, and or end up giving feedback to the folks who are building and eventually end up investing in them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great note from both of you. I think I'm just waiting for the dates and the energy and the excitement that'll roll through. We just I think I like what Karthik said. We doing this on an ongoing basis, maybe every 6 months, every year. I think that will be a nice indication of how much of this is actually worked. I think I would love to see that, having more partners on board as we go along, and more investors coming on board, to be a part of this. That'll be exciting to do over the years. Looking at it as a very long-term story for the next 2 decades. I'm happy to see how it kind of grows into an interesting uh, place for us all to work together. Yeah.
Vinod, I'm not sure if we covered this, but and if I missed this, I apologize. But maybe if Java can talk a little bit about their fund, and I could do the same for Capital A as well, on how
Yeah.
our typical investments work.
No, absolutely right. I think we keep thinking, this audience would have heard us so many times. So, so we will definitely do that. And Java Capital is a $10 million fund currently, investing largely in three areas, which is deep tech, which includes breakthrough sciences, innovation, and IP. Second sector is B2B, which includes B2B marketplaces, SaaS, and software for SMEs and enterprises. And the third one is climate and sustainability, and that's what we've been talking all along. Java is very focused on these three areas, and climate is one of the key sectors that we want to go ahead and invest. And typically, our check sizes we cut anywhere between 250 to 300K first checks, and we can all the way go up as follow-ons up to $1 million into each of these companies. And in the past, we've already invested in a couple of climate companies like Pseudofoods, ePlane, and as recently as a couple of weeks ago, in a company called Oculo. So we've got some exposure to climate, and we've been doing deep tech investments over the last 3 years. And so we believe, like you mentioned earlier, right? Climate is a world of bits, not just atoms. and a combination of deep tech and IP companies coming together for climate actually is a story that we believe will play out over the next 2 decades. I think that expertise on deep technologies positions ourselves well to play and operate in the climate sector, even though there will be new things and new nuances for us to learn. I think that positions ourselves to stay the course on climate and deep technologies for years to come. That's how we've thought about climate. Okay, then that's Java for you. And three of us, Karthik, me, and Bhargavi, three of us, run this together.
Thanks, Vinod. Uh, Extremely excited, and I especially, you know, uh,
Karthik, are you able to hear Ankit?
I think we just lost him now, Vinod.
Okay, so let's wait
Yeah.
for him. And in the process, okay, we're going to wait for him. So Karthik, have the monsoons arrived?
Looks like, finally, the weather is amazing today. I took a stroll in the afternoon in Indranagar and it was so refreshing.
Okay. Yeah, I think I just took a stroll in the park, and that was pretty interesting in the evening before I started the freewheeling. Yeah, it is.
am I audible now?
Yes, yes, Ankit, go on now, please. Yes.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Ankit, we're losing you. Ankit, are you muted?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Ankit.
Ankit, we can't hear you. We are able to see you very clearly.
Am I audible?
Absolutely clear. I think only the voice is not there. Karthik, there is another Ankit, we should remove that, maybe. Okay.
No, that's already disabled, Vinod.
Okay. Okay. So let's wait for Ankit. Yeah. Okay. So this is like truly freewheeling, yeah, and the wheels are rolling at Ankit's end.
No, I think maybe you should talk a little bit about Capital A also. I think now that we talked a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
about
No, I
ours.
think yeah. I'll talk. I think. I mean, Capital A is. I'm just talking on behalf of Ankit. I'm hoping I'm right. Capital A and us have been really good friends over the years now. Um, Especially Ashwani, who couldn't join us on this call. I think Capital A is investing out of their 250 crore fund and climate and sustainability and B2B, and these are some of the areas along they've like pretty focused on. I've seen deep tech companies, climate and sustainability companies, and SaaS companies, that they're excited about, and they've invested quite a large number of companies on their website, and they're also very strong early conviction believers in the company. We've had the opportunity to work with them in a couple of companies, so that's how we kind of also got the comfort to work with this climathon together, and we hope to do more with Capital A apart from the climathon. And yeah, I'm trying to do justice, Karthik. It's so hard, I realize.
I know. Yeah, agree. So I think great, Vinod. I think maybe we should just do a wrap. We apologize for patchy connection with Ankit. I hope he doesn't mind the introduction that we gave about the fund, Capital A. So please, guys, just go online and apply and give us more work to do over the next few days. We are hoping to see some exciting startups to come in the climate space, and really looking forward to the exciting 24-hour climathon event in July. With that, we're going to be putting up the links on our social media to apply. Go to our Twitter or LinkedIn, and you should see the link where you can apply. And if you have any questions, as usual, please type it in the comments. We will also put the information in this description so that you can actually see this on YouTube as well. With that said, Vinod, thanks so much for your time.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. See you guys soon, and see you at Climathon. Maybe we'll do a next stream post or from there only, Karthik, during the 24-hour session, right? I think we should just do one streaming session live.
Yeah, live stream.
Capture all the excitement that's happening, if not the pitches. Yeah.
Absolutely.
See you guys. See you on
All right.
on the next episode of hopefully a irregularly regular freewheeling session.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
All right. Cheers.